Good day, I am Arlene Jovel A. Enriquez.
I am Eliza S. Susmerano.
I am Dr. Elimar A. Pascual from Talangan Integrated National High School, Nagarnan, Laguna, Philippines. With our principal, Dr. Romeo M. Soligin, we came up with a study entitled Modeling the Spread of Misinformation on Social Media Among Teenagers.
In today's digital era, social media has become the dominant platform for communication, information dissemination, and public discourse. Studies indicate that false information spreads significantly faster than factual content, often due to the psychological tendencies of users to engage with sensational or emotional charged narratives. The proliferation of misinformation has led to misguided public opinions, political polarization, health-related fears, and social unrest. Global incidents, such as the rapid spread of misinformation during COVID-19 pandemic, have demonstrated the real-world consequences of unchecked digital falsehoods.
The rise of social media has significantly altered the way individuals consume and disseminate information, making it a primary avenue for both punctual and misleading content. The proliferation of fake news on social media platforms has been identified as a growing concern, especially among teenagers who frequently engage with digital content. According to Van Aldstrom, et al. 2024 highlight that students often struggle to differentiate between authentic and fabricated news, emphasizing the urgent needs for improved fake news literacy programs.
Peer influence plays a crucial role in shaping online behaviors, as adolescents often conform to digital trends to gain social acceptance, according to Xiong and Fang 2023. This social conformity can increase their susceptibility to misinformation, especially when engaging in viral content sharing. The psychological impact of excessive social media use further compounds this issue. Rex introduces the concept of social media hangover, where mental fatigue and emotional distress result from prolonged online activity.
This study examined how misinformation spread among teenagers through social media, focusing on social media habits, susceptibility to misinformation, and the role of peer influence. Specifically, it seeks to answer the following question. 1. How do the social media habit of grade 11 learners relate to their susceptibility to misinformation? 2. To what extent does peer influence contribute to the spread of misinformation among teenagers? What is the probability of misinformation spread based on social network theory and mathematical modeling? 3. How can misinformation mitigation strategy effectively reduce the dissemination of false information?
The participants of this study are grade 11 learners of Talangan Integrated National High School. Data collection began with informed consent from participants and their guardians, ensuring ethical research conduct. The study used survey questionnaires to assess social media habits, susceptibility to misinformation, and peer influence. Data were analyzed using descriptive and inferential statistics. The following methods were applied: descriptive statistics, correlation analysis, mathematical modeling, and comparative analysis.
Research integrity. The following ethical guidelines were followed. First, informed consent. Participants and guardians were briefed on the study's purpose, and signed consent was obtained. Second is confidentiality. Personal information and responses were anonymized to ensure participant privacy. Third is voluntary participation. Participants had the right to withdraw at any stage without penalty. Fourth is non-maleficence. No psychological or social harm was inflicted during the study. And fifth is data protection. Collected data were stored securely and used strictly for research purposes.
The table presents the mean standard deviation, minimum, maximum, and frequency distribution for each survey category: social media habit, susceptibility to misinformation, and peer influence.
The findings reveal a positive correlation between high social media usage and susceptibility to misinformation, suggesting that individuals who frequently engage with social media are more vulnerable to believing and sharing false content. This implies that increased exposure to unverified digital information reduces users' ability to critically evaluate content. Additionally, peer influence strongly correlates with misinformation spread, indicating that social circles play a key role in reinforcing false beliefs. When misinformation circulates within a close-knit group, individuals are more likely to accept and propagate it even without verifying its authenticity.
This model is based on the SIR model, commonly used in epidemiology. We adapt it to the misinformation dynamic on social media. We classify people into the three groups. First, susceptible, users who haven't seen or believe misinformation yet but can be influenced. Impacted, users who believe and share misinformation. Recovered, users who realize the misinformation was false and stopped sharing it. The total number of users remains constantly and is the total population equal S plus I plus R.
The model is described by three differential equations. Equation 1, rate of change of susceptible users. ds divided by di is equals to negative psi. This equation tells us how the number of susceptible users S decreases over time. B or beta is the spread rate, meaning how easily misinformation spreads. The S times I term means that the more infected users I exist, the faster susceptible users S become infected. Example, if B is equal to 0.3, meaning 30% chance of infection per interaction, and there are 100 susceptible users interacting with 10 infected users, misinformation will spread quickly.
This equation tells us how the number of infected users change over time. The first term, PSI, means new user getting misinformed. The second term, negative gamma I, represents user who fact-check or stop believing misinformation. Gamma is the recovery rate, meaning the probability that an infected user stops spreading misinformation after fact-checking. Example, if gamma equals 0.2, then misinformation spread slow down as the more people become resistant.
This equation tells us how the number of recovered users R increases. As infected users I realize the truth, they move into the recovered group rate at rate Y. Example, if Y is equals to 0.2 and there are 50 infected users, then 10 per users per day will stop spreading misinformation.
By solving this equation, we can simulate how misinformation spread over time. If beta is high, more people become infected quickly. If gamma is high, misinformation disappears faster. If we increase the number of fact-checkers, the spread of misinformation slows down.
A thorough framework for comprehending the spread of false information within a population is offered by the table representation of misinformation spread. Three separate user categories are shown in the table: susceptible S, infected I, and recovered R. Each type corresponds to a particular stage in the process of disseminating false information. Users who have not yet been exposed to false information but are susceptible to its influence are known as susceptible users. If they are exposed to false information, which is determined by the probability of false information or P/M, they may enter the infected condition.
The flowchart explains how misinformation spread in network using the SIR method. It shows how people get fake information from social media user until the misinformation slow down at the end. This flowchart could explain clearly the study of misinformation spread. Having this method showed the sequence of how the misinformation spread and how it also stopped.
The spread of misinformation follows a predictable pattern influenced by peer influence and the probability of sharing. The transition from susceptible to infected occurs more rapidly in highly connected networks where misinformation is frequently shared. However, fact-checking plays a crucial role in transitioning users from infected to recovered, helping to mitigate the continued spread of false information. Additionally, the study reinforces the higher social connectivity accelerates misinformation dissemination, making targeted interventions essential to slowing its impact. These findings emphasize the need for proactive measures, including enhanced digital literacy programs.
Based from the finding that result from this exploration, the following recommendations are now laid down to specified authorities. For educators, develop digital literacy program that teach students critical evaluation skill to recognize misinformation. For social media platform, implement fact-checking tools and content moderation system to reduce the spread of false information. For policymaker, promote educational reforms that integrate media literacy into the school curriculum. For parents, encourage healthy social media habit by setting guidelines on digital consumption.
Study highlighted the complex interplay between social media habits, peer influence, and misinformation spread. It became evident that teenagers often engage with misleading content unknowingly, emphasizing the urgent need for digital literacy education. Through mathematical modeling, the research successfully simulated how misinformation spreads within a network, reinforcing the idea that fact-checking mechanisms can significantly reduce its reach. The experience of conducting this study underscored the importance of empowering young learners with critical thinking skills, ensuring they become responsible digital citizens in an era of vast and easily accessible information.
Once again, I am Arlene Juvel A. Enriquez.
I am Eliza S. Susmerano.
Dr. Elimar A. Pascual. Thanks for watching. God be glorified.